Hey, what's up, gentlemen and ladies? Welcome back to another Final Fantasy 15 video, and today we got a lot of Final Fantasy 15 news from the Paris Games Week. In particular, I wanted to bring to you guys' attention today two stories regarding Final Fantasy 15 that were pretty major in my opinion, or I guess 2.5 if you really want to count it. But before I get into that, I just want to apologize if you guys can hear a fan or like just this loud noise in the background. It's actually my computer fan because I'm currently rendering my Kingdom Hearts 3 and 2.8 and 1.5 and 2.5 news video that I should hopefully be up by the time that you guys are watching this video right here. But yeah, so if you guys can hear that in the background, then I'm sorry, there's nothing I can really do about it. But moving into Final Fantasy 15 itself, we got, like I mentioned in my previous video, so much news from the Paris Games Week. Like right off the bat, day one, first hour, Square came guns blazing with so many announcements. So like I mentioned in the previous video, or the previous Final Fantasy 15 video I should say, there was an announcement for something that was going to be hashtag Final Fantasy 15 Omen, or I think it was Omen FF15 actually, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But before that, I would like to point out that Square actually did go into detail about some of the DLC that we're going to be having in the game. So if you guys do recall, a while ago, like a couple months ago I believe, they announced for Final Fantasy 15 something called the Digital Deluxe Edition. I'm pretty sure it was what it was called. Don't quote me on that though. It was something along those lines basically. And in there we got a listing of all the stuff that it was going to come with, and it basically included some packs. Like I think it had a holiday pack, and it also had specific packs for each one of the different party members. So you had a Prompto one, a Gladio one, and an Ignis one, which a lot of people, when that first came out, were speculating was going to mean that you're going to get to play as them. And they did reveal a couple weeks after that that you are going to get to play as them in those DLC packs. However, we did recently just get the announcement that those will actually be DLC that you will be able to buy separately without having to get the Digital Deluxe Edition. And the fact that you get to play as the other characters, which personally I was not really all that hyped for, like, if I'm being 100% honest. I know that a lot of people were, you know, oh, we get to finally play as Prompto and Gladio and Ignis, but to me, they're honestly more limiting, because Noctis can pretty much do all the things that the other three guys can. He can use guns like Prompto, he can use daggers like Ignis, and he can use like Buster Swords or Great Swords, I guess, like Gladio. So in my opinion, the other characters would pretty much be cool to play with just because they are the other characters and because we want to play as them, not because necessarily they would be better to play as than Noctis. However, Square did reveal recently that they do have a online multiplayer co-op mode in the works for Final Fantasy 15, which is crazy. As far as I'm aware, I'm thinking through it, and yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the very first mainline Final Fantasy game to have co-op multiplayer like this. Now, we don't really know too much about it yet, but presumably you are going to be able to play as the other characters, and maybe it's going to be its own separate mode. I doubt that it's going to be in the main campaign itself, because that would just be a little bit weird to be able to interfere with the campaign with multiplayer. I don't really think that that would work, even for Final Fantasy 15. As much as it's been changing everything, there are some things that you just don't change, and that, in my opinion, is one of the things that should probably stay. Although we'll probably end up hearing more about this and getting more details as the Paris Games Week continues. And yeah, that's basically all the news that we got regarding that. Now, as far as the Omen Final Fantasy 15 thing, it was actually the name for a brand new trailer for the game, which I really enjoy because, as I mentioned back in the Dawn trailer, some of you guys may remember this, I like it when they give trailers names, because then we don't have to refer to them as the Jump Festa 2015 trailer, or the TGS 2014 trailer, or the E3 2013 trailer. Like, they have names, you know, the Dawn trailer, the Omen trailer. So we actually got an Omen trailer for Final Fantasy 15, which is not really like any of the other trailers that we've gotten, except for some of the older Versus trailers, and I'll get back to that in a little bit. But it was basically fully pre-rendered. In fact, I'm not even sure if any of the scenes that we saw in that trailer are going to be in the game. Like, maybe they would be in the opening, or maybe some of them would be in the game, but honestly, it looked like the type of thing that they made specifically to be a trailer, in my opinion. Although if it ends up being in the game, then, well, I guess I was wrong. What are you gonna do? So, yeah, it was pretty cool. We got to see Noctis going through all these different landscapes, and it cut back to Luna and Regis at some points. There was so many things in it, and it reminded me, like I said, personally, a lot of the old Versus trailers where it was 100% CGI. It was a lot of, you know, concepts, not necessarily things that were all going to make it into the game. It was very vague, and it had a lot of questions. but it just looked really cool, is basically the idea. And this trailer did look really cool. It honestly, to me, looks like something that we would see out of like a modern FPS or something like that. Like a AAA Western game, in my opinion, would release a trailer in this style. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, I'm just saying that's kind of what I got, or the vibe that I got from watching this trailer, and you guys are probably seeing it on screen right now, so you can make the judgment yourself. However, if you would like to see the full thing with audio and everything, I will leave a link to it in the description. And I know that a lot of people wanted me to talk about this specifically because there was so many questions. You know, there are certain things that we hear characters say, certain things that happen that are just, you know, kind of confusing, and that we don't really get to know what happens, or they don't explain it very well, because I mean, it's just a pre-rendered trailer. Of course, they're not going to explain anything. And I was a little bit hesitant on talking about this because as of right now, I don't really have any answers for any of these things. However, I will tell you guys this, I'm already working on a theory video having to do with all of this Omen stuff. I'm probably going to end up calling it Final Fantasy 15 Omen Theory, because that's what I usually name my theory videos like. So you guys can look forward to that. I'm not really going to be rolling out an analysis on this because, well, first of all, analysis are really, really hard to make. And second of all, I don't think that there's anything so much in what happens with the trailer. Like, a lot of interesting stuff does happen, and there's a lot of cool little references. I believe you can catch a Assassin's Creed symbol in one of the newspapers in the background, and there's also a poster in the background of the train that says Gone Gold, which is a reference to the fact that Final Fantasy 15 has gone gold, like I mentioned in the previous video, which basically means that the game is just about done. So at this point, they're basically just finishing up the packaging and all that kind of stuff, and probably working that out, actually printing the copies of the game, and then shipping them out to all of the retailers so that we can get our hands on them in just a little bit over a month. Can you guys believe that it's gonna be, what, a month and 2 days, maybe even 1 day by the time that you guys are watching this video? So it's crazy that we're gonna have Final Fantasy 15 in our hands after that long. But either way, that's pretty much everything. Again, sorry if you guys were expecting like a full-on analysis and that kind of stuff on the Omen trailer right now, but it's still a little bit early, and I'm also hoping that we get more information and more explanation on this during the Paris Games Week itself. I guess we'll see what ends up happening, but let me know what you guys thought about all this awesome information in the comments. But I guess either way, that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to blitz that like button, subscribe, and as always, stay tuned for all things Final Fantasy. See you guys.